America, the land of opportunity, the economic powerhouse of the world, is facing a shocking truth. Its own people are struggling. Despite the image of prosperity, a growing number of Americans are dipping into their hard-earned savings just to make ends meet. This troubling trend is a clear warning sign that the American dream is slipping out of reach for many. For decades, the U.S. economy has been the envy of the world. But now, the engine that drives this economic giant is sputtering. Consumers, the lifeblood of any economy, are pulling back on spending. Their wallets are feeling the pinch of rising prices and stagnant wages, forcing them to make difficult choices. This decline in consumer spending is bad news for everyone. It means businesses are selling less, which could lead to job losses and a shrinking economy. The ripple effects of this economic downturn could be felt far beyond America's borders, impacting the global economy as a whole. We're talking about a potential crisis, folks, a real doozy. The reality for many Americans is a stark contrast to the rosy picture often painted by politicians and economists. Families are struggling to put food on the table, pay their rent or mortgage, and afford basic necessities. Their paychecks are simply not keeping up with the rising cost of living. To bridge the gap between their income and expenses, Americans are increasingly relying on credit cards and dipping into their savings. This is a dangerous cycle that cannot be sustained indefinitely. Savings are meant for emergencies and long-term goals, not for keeping your head above water month to month. And let's not forget about the elephant in the room: debt. Credit card debt is already at an all-time high, and this trend is only going to exacerbate the problem. We're talking about a ticking time bomb, people, and it's only a matter of time before it explodes. It's not just your average Joe on the street who's worried about the state of the economy. Economists and financial experts are sounding the alarm bells, warning that this trend of declining savings and rising debt is unsustainable and could have dire consequences. We're seeing a perfect storm of negative economic factors, says renowned economist Dr. Doom, not his real name obviously. Inflation is eroding purchasing power, wages are stagnant, and consumer confidence is plummeting. It's a recipe for disaster. And it's not just economists who are worried. Major corporations are also feeling the heat. Retail giants like Walmart and Target have reported declining sales and profits, citing a pullback in consumer spending. This is a clear indication that the economic slowdown is real, and it's hitting businesses where it hurts, their bottom line. Section 4. Fear and uncertainty grip consumers. So, why are Americans so pessimistic about the economy? Well, there's no shortage of things to be worried about. Inflation is at a 40-year high, gas prices are through the roof, and the war in Ukraine is causing global uncertainty. It's enough to make anyone want to crawl under a rock and wait for the apocalypse. This sense of fear and uncertainty is reflected in consumer confidence surveys, which have plummeted to near-record lows. When people are worried about the future, they tend to tighten their belts and save for a rainy day. And let me tell you folks, it's pouring right now. This lack of consumer confidence is a major drag on the economy. When people aren't spending money, businesses suffer, jobs are lost, and the entire economic engine grinds to a halt. Section 5. The domino effect. Corporate America braces for impact. As consumers tighten their belts, the impact is being felt across corporate America. Companies are starting to feel the pinch of declining demand, and they're responding by cutting costs, laying off workers, and scaling back their investment plans. We're seeing a significant slowdown in consumer spending, said the CEO of a major retailer, who asked to remain anonymous because, corporate overlords. We're having to make some tough decisions to adjust to this new reality. This corporate belt-tightening is only going to exacerbate the economic downturn. As more companies lay off workers, unemployment will rise, consumer spending will fall even further, and the economy will spiral further downward. It's a vicious cycle, folks, and it's one that we need to break out of before it's too late.